Alright, I'm doing well, guys. This is Rowlands and I'm a nutritional balancing practitioner, and in this video I'm going to talk about some preparations, some ways of thinking and living for the next few years. Now, regardless of what could happen in the next few years or what might happen, all these tips are just good advice in general. I think this is the way that most people should be living these days. So, you should be thinking about trying to align yourself into this way of living anyway. But it might hedge against some stuff that could be coming up in the future. Now, as you all know, we're in strange times, and I've been getting information and downloads and coming into contact with various things that's basically telling me that the next few years is likely to be quite rocky for the planet. We could be going through the book of Revelations. That's a sort of a high possibility at the moment. But the good news is if you are aligned with good, if you're aligned with God, if you have faith, then you will be saved. And but there's a few things that you should be sort of thinking about to basically align yourself, to basically get yourself into a good position to hedge yourself against anything that could happen in the future. Nothing might happen, everything might go back to normal. There's obviously a possibility of that. There's a possibility of everything. And if that is the case, then the advice that I'm going to give you in this video will still be good. You'll still be in a good position to live. So the first thing that you want to be doing is you want to be following the program. This does multiple things. The obvious one for most people is to help you heal. So it's going to help you heal. You get better energy, better emotional stability. And what you'll also get is a better connection to God, a better connection to Source, a better connection to a higher frequency. We basically live in a simulation. It's like a game. So the real world is the heavenly realm, and the earthly realm is what we're in now. Is basically a opportunity for souls to experience and to learn various things. So if you can always be aligned with God and Source, so a good analogy is, let's say you have created a game, Sims. Everyone's played SimCity, and the world outside SimCity is sort of the real world. So that's where sort of God lives mainly, and the angels, etc., etc. And the Sims world is a simulation that souls can go down into and experience various things. So you can be, as a sim, you can be sort of completely immersed in that world, and you're just constantly going to be in a fear state, in a chaotic state, in a confused state. Or you can have an awareness that there's something outside of this realm that is the truth and that is real, and you want to be trying to connect up with that as much as you possibly can, basically. And the main way to do it is to do the program. One of the main ways to do it is to do the program, because it's a little bit like, let's say that you've created the game Sims, and God's created the game Sims, and he has created various things for the Sims to eat that's going to make them an optimal sim. And there's other things in the world, because of free will and the ability to experience, that's going to make that Sim's body not do well. Alcohol, drugs, junk food. So if you want to really connect with the truth, your sim, your body, your vehicle, your vessel needs to be as pure as possible, because then your sim is super bright and super light and it's vibrating more with the frequency that made it, rather than the false fear-based frequency that you're sort of immersed in. So by doing the program, you're sort of killing multiple birds with one stone. The second thing you need to do is you need to think about your work in the next few years. So, or where you're getting finances from. If you're in a fortunate position where you've got finances, it may be coming from a family member or whatever, then that's brilliant. But if you haven't got that, then you need to be thinking about your work. So, healthy things to think about is, is there anything you can start doing that starts bringing you in income, maybe from home? Is there anything that you can be doing whereby instead of working 10 hours a day, 8 hours a day, 12 hours a day, because you're doing some sort of job whereby your time is money? So for example, my partner, she's a hairdresser, her time is money basically. So, sorry, my dogs are absolutely going mental. Come out! Come on. There you go. So basically, her time is money. So if she wants to earn a lot of money, she has to work long hours. This was the problem which means like you can't do the program very well. You get burnt out easy. You're not connected to source, God, which is really important in the coming few years. So I've basically told her that she needs to come up with something that's gonna ease up her time. And she likes candles, and she's got a shop front. So I was like, you should start selling candles. So sort of contrast that with me. I work from home, obviously. I used to go to an office and work full time, but that was difficult. I got burnt out. Various different things basically happened, and basically struggled to work in that environment. So became a practitioner, and that helped a lot because I was in my own house, and really this is sort of the ideal way of living, is, especially for the next few years, is to try and be in your house somewhat. I know this is not going to be the perfect situation for everyone, but I obviously work from my house, and over the past few years I've been trying to make sort of businesses that work for me where I get recurring revenue. Obviously I sell supplements now in the UK, which gives me recurring revenue. I build my app, which is recurring revenue. And the cool thing with my work is that I'm also living my purpose as well. So that's not going to be, for everyone. Like my girlfriend, for example, selling candles, that could be her purpose, and I think it's probably more close to her purpose than what she's doing now. And she could potentially do that business from our house. So I'm just sort of trying to contrast here. Let's say that someone goes out to work every day, their time is money. So I've just been on the phone to a client, actually. He's a locksmith, and he was burnt out doing lots of work. So he's in a situation where he's quite all over the place with his work, and his time is money. And sort of contrast that with me, where I work from home. I've got recurring revenue. I can sort of be in my own bubble. You can see how that's way more beneficial. The good thing is if you think about the next few years, we might be looking at things like going into lockdown again. So let's say we go into lockdown. My business will be safe. My girlfriend's business where she's owns a hairdressers and she's got a shop, her business is not going to be safe. That causes obviously stress, worry, lack of income. So what I'm trying to say is start thinking about ways to hedge against that. So I mentioned this to my client, and he was like, yeah, I've been thinking about that too. I think one of the things I might do is to move my business into my garage. And I was like, well, that sounds like a much better way of doing things. You can do the program more, you know what I mean? You can do things from your garage, your clients can come to your garage, etc., etc., etc. So there's two things there, is sort of do the program and just think about your work. I'm not saying, everyone needs to work from home or whatever, but you understand the principles that you need to be thinking about to hedge yourself against the future. So one of the things that's going to happen in the future, that could potentially happen in the future, is these lockdowns again. So you got to think, are you in a job that's going to be able to get you through a lockdown? Is basically the simple question to ask yourself. The next thing to consider is food supplies going down, or food, food shortages. This could be another problem. Again, I don't want to scare anyone, but you can hedge yourself against this now by beginning to buy a few extra canned foods from the shop, from the store, and to keep them in storage. So my garage downstairs, I've started to buy in extra things, sardines, canned vegetables. Generally cans are a little bit better. I am thinking about putting a freezer down there and freezing some, sort of bags of vegetables. But that could be a problem with the next thing that I'm going to sort of talk about. So let's say that in 2-3 years' time, and I've got this big sort of, bulk of food. If we don't get food shortages, then I'll just eat the food that I've stored up. So there's no big problem there. But that could be something that you could hedge yourself against. If there's food shortages in the UK and I can't get hold of good quality veg or, meat, sardines, I know that downstairs I've got a decent supply to get me through, the current situation. So the other thing that could potentially happen is an energy crisis. Here in the UK, we're already experiencing that. Our energy prices have gone up like threefold, and we could have an energy crisis. Now, this is a little bit more difficult to hedge yourself against. The obvious thing would be to make sure you've got plenty of blankets. If you live in a cold climate, if the power goes out, you can keep yourself warm. Store firewood. So I store firewood in my garage. I ended up finding some guy off Facebook Marketplace that sold offcuts of wood. And I bought like a ton of wood for like £30, which is absolutely nothing. But I'll probably go and buy another ton, another couple of ton or whatever, just, to hedge against that issue. Again, if I don't have an energy problem, then I make fires outside all the time, just to have fun, like cook over the fires and stuff. So if I don't have an energy crisis, then at least I have, wood there, basically. Other things you could potentially think about is your support circle. So do you live on your own? Are you okay living by yourself? Do you live with people who would not be good to live with if we went into another lockdown? Do you live near parents? So you could potentially go to your parents' house if, you have another lockdown. All these things you need to be thinking about for the future. Now, even if none of that happens, it is important, I think, to sort of live more like I do. That's not coming from some sort of arrogant perspective. That's coming from 10 years of doing the program and trying to understand the truth and figuring out the best way to live. So if I was to just contrast my life with someone else's, it probably looks something like this. So I live with my partner. We don't argue. We don't have any attachment issues with each other. It's peaceful. We don't overdo on things like sex. We sort of do the program. So my house is peaceful. If I go into lockdown with her, it's not going to be the end of the world. It's going to be fine. We do have a couple of dogs, which is great, which are great company. And, it gives you a sense of responsibility, which I think is a sort of vitamin of life. So I do my work from home, which again's great. I have recurring revenue coming in. I have firewood in case the energy goes down. I wouldn't be able to work if my energy goes down, but at least I've sort of hedged myself against that with the wood, making sure I've got plenty of blankets, plenty of warmth, insulate your house, all these different things. And also I'll have a storage of food. You could think outside the box as well. You might want to grow a veg patch. I sort of got into that at one point, but found that it actually took up a massive amount of time. It's actually easier to sort of make money and buy my own food, but which is much easier to heal. But now, we're in a position whereby it might be good if I had a veg patch. So you could potentially think about doing that. And then sort of contrast that against someone who, let's say, lives on their own in the city. They've got no pets, they've got no partner, they live not near any parents. Their time is work, so they have to go to a shop somewhere or something and work every day, which, they're not really following the program. They've not hedged themselves against energy crises or food crises. So who's gonna be better off if this happens? And like I said, regardless if it doesn't happen, this is the best way to heal and to live. Life is about being simple. It's about being healthy, obviously. It's about being connected to God. It's about being stable, peaceful, secure. And then joy can only flow through if you've come from that foundation, really, on a sort of consistent basis. So yeah, that's basically it for this video. I don't really want to scare anyone, because the advice that I'm giving you is advice that you should be thinking about anyway, regardless of what's going to happen. But yeah, some of the stuff that's going off at the moment, I'm pretty confident we're probably going to be in another lockdown again in the UK over the winter. So just hedging yourself against all of that stuff is going to be sort of a wise move. Alright guys, so thanks for listening, and catch you on the next video.